Do you think freelancing on Upwork was going to be easy? Well, I did, and that's why I actually applied to over 1,000 jobs on Upwork. And yeah, eventually I did make $80,000 from Upwork and then $220,000 from outside Upwork. But man, it was such a grind. And it took me 10 years to figure this stuff out. I have also hired a lot of freelancers myself for my own personal projects, so I have been on both sides of the platform. I really wish what I know now, I knew a lot sooner. It could have made things a lot easier for me. So to help you accelerate your freelancing career 10 times faster and 10 times easier, here are the 44 brutal truths you need to know when starting out on Upwork. I once saw a job posting on Upwork that was perfect for me, so I think I've sent a killer proposal. I nailed the details, I crafted a brilliant pitch, I attached all of the details, attached all of the case studies, but nothing happened. And that kept happening for quite a few times, and then only later on I realized one crucial mistake I was making. I was missing their name. You see, on Upwork, some of the reviews that are left for the client by freelancers actually include their name. So if you just look at those reviews, you can actually find the name of the person that is gonna hire you. And a proposal that starts with, "Hey John," instantly feels personal compared to just "Hey" or "Hello." Also, including their name shows you actually put extra effort to look for their name and actually try to connect with them. Always look at the reviews and always include the name in your cover letter. Once a potential client said to me that my profile stood out because I was very approachable, and at the time I didn't really understand what he meant. You see, we didn't actually had any Zoom calls or any interaction before that, so how was I approachable? Eventually I started working with that client, and later on I found out it was because of the photo, of the profile photo on my Upwork. So if you think about it, a blurry, dark selfie where you can't really see the face or anything like that, it doesn't scream professional to anyone. But on the other hand, a very well lit photo with some nice background or some contrasting background to your skin color, or even putting some color of ring around the photo just to make you pop a bit more, does make a big difference. And don't forget to edit the photo as well to make it pop even more. When I was hiring freelancers on Upwork, one thing that really stood out to me was people who had a video on their Upwork profile. Anybody can add a lot of screenshots, a lot of case studies, reviews, and everything, but video adds that missing human touch element. Your energy, your voice, your personality really shines through video. And you as a freelancer are able to show a lot more of your profile, your creativity, the way you speak. Basically, it becomes your sales letter. So you can actually sell yourself through that video. And you don't need to be a Hollywood star, just be authentic and just try to make the best video you can possibly make. And believe me, not a lot of people actually have videos on their profile, so just by doing this, you're already ahead of the pack. However, right now, there is also another feature on Upwork that can make you stand out even more. So imagine scrolling through different proposals to the job listing that you posted and seeing a video pitch. Wouldn't you stop to watch it? Because I certainly did. Right now, Upwork actually allows you to record up to 3 minutes of custom video for each of the proposal that you're submitting to on Upwork. Again, this is a very quick way to stand out from the crowd of people and actually showcase who you are, what you can do, and just let your personality shine through video. So if you're not confident talking in front of the camera, this is actually a very valuable skill right now on Upwork. I actually once had a client that told me that they hired me because of the screenshots that I attached to the proposal. It's way easier for clients to know what kind of work you can do, what kind of results you achieve for your clients, or anything else that you've done if you attach extra attachments to the proposal. And even bonus points if those attachments are actually related to the job that you're applying for, or in some ways a custom thing for that client. So always have a folder ready on your computer with various different things, screenshots, PDFs, whatever else that you have that you can quickly attach and make it custom for each of the proposals that you send out to your potential clients. However, there is also one thing with the attachments that a lot of people miss out, is to actually properly name their attachments. People neglect this all the time, and the attachments are basically just document 1, 2, 3 or something like that. Then for a client, it's very difficult, it's not enticing to click, and it's very difficult to understand what that is. So always name your attachments something that actually showcases the results, that actually describes what they're gonna see, and make it enticing for people to click. Treat it like a title to a YouTube video. Make it a little bit clickbaity, tease something. And this small detail will show to the potential clients that you're very thoughtful and organized. So another bonus. So this next point, I'm kind of 50-50 because personally, I don't know if emojis are good or not to use on your cover letter. So when I'm actually hiring, my eyes always stop at the emojis. So although I don't personally like them, but some of them are actually very good because they can make you stand out from the other blocks of text. And I mean, everybody's familiar with emojis. So it's a very easy and little thing to make your proposal stand out a little bit more, but don't go overboard with emojis because I've seen proposals where it's basically every second or third word is an emoji, and that is just distracting. When I was skimming through the proposals for one of the projects that I was hiring, and it really dawned on me that from your cover letter, only the first few sentences are visible. That means those are the most important sentences for you to write. People need to click on your proposal to actually see your full profile, attachments, and everything else that you have, but they're not gonna click if the first few sentences are not somehow attracting or enticing. Again, treat it like a title, make it a bit clickbaity, tease people, just make them interested, make it worth their time. So I have to admit something. When I began my career on Upwork, I actually used to send copy paste proposals all of the time. Until one day I actually got a message from a potential client who actually said, I read their job listing. And to be honest, I haven't. And that was very, very embarrassing because the job posting was actually not even for the SEO. I have no idea how I managed to apply to that job that wasn't even sort of for my skills, but I did. And it was the most embarrassing thing ever. And from then I kind of understood that I'm just wasting my time because I'm not getting any interviews and people are not hiring me. But I got one message, and that only message was like, dude, hey, what are you doing? So from that day forward, I always customize my proposals and I always make sure I apply for the right jobs. It sounds crazy, but it's something that you have to keep an eye on, and always make the proposals custom. If you don't make it custom, people are not gonna get back to you. Over the years on Upwork, I noticed something strange, that for some clients, long proposals work better, and for others, you only need just a couple of sentences in your cover letter to spark their interest. Once I noticed this, I tried to experiment a lot, and seeing if the job listing included a lot of details, my cover letter was also very detailed. But if the job listing only had like 2 sentences, my cover letter only had 2 sentences. Also, for more complex projects, I wanted to put more details, but for something like a one-time jobs or something very, very similar, I tried to make my proposals just more easier and more simple. And it makes sense. I'm tailoring the cover letter to the job, to the actual job, and it's the same as you choosing what clothes to wear for the type of job that you're applying for. So Upwork now has a new feature where you can highlight either your portfolio, a previous work that you've done on Upwork, or any certifications. And this is very useful because clients don't usually scroll through all of your job history to look through all of the things that you have on your Upwork profile. Nobody has time for that. But with this feature, you can actually highlight the most relevant things for the job proposal that you're applying for. And those things are actually very well highlighted on the client side. So make sure you choose the right things and don't just select the same things over and over again. Probably one of the most important and overlooked thing on Upwork is something that seems fairly straightforward. See, when a client posts a job and then they get proposals from different freelancers, there's a lot of things like first few sentences of the cover letter, then your skills, then your hourly rate, maybe how much you earned on Upwork, reviews, and stuff like that. But one of the most important things that people look at, and I actually also looked at when I was hiring, is the photo, which we already covered, And then it's the headline. Your headline should not just tell that you are a graphics designer. You need to be more creative than that and showcase the results and the potential things that you actually can do for your client. There are a lot of different things that you can add, like number of years of experience, sales generated, results achieved, the graphic designs done or companies worked with. You have to experiment what works, but be sure to actually make it very custom and very tailored to the jobs that you're applying, because it's one of the most important things when people look through freelancing profiles, and it really shines there. Use it as an elevator pitch. Make it so enticing that people want to work with you after reading just your headline. So make it compelling and very results focused. When I started, I made a mistake of applying to basically every single job listing that I could find. And that meant I was applying to intermediate and expert level jobs when my profile was just an entry level one. So don't waste your connects or your precious time applying for jobs that your profile is not suited for. Even if you have a lot of skills, if you're new on Upwork and your profile is new, you kind of have to start from the entry-level jobs. And this is not limited, it's very strategic. Once I actually started going for entry-level jobs, I started getting messages back, and eventually I got hired and got my first clients through this method. Once Upwork introduced the Connects feature, where basically you can boost your proposals and kind of stand out from the crowd, I used to boost every single job that I'm applying for. I mean, that meant that I was spending just a fortune on credits, and it also meant that I wasn't helping anyone out. Now I'm way more targeted with which jobs I boost and where I have confidence that the job is very suited for me and for my skills. So do the same thing. Don't boost every single proposal. Make a strategic decision which proposals to boost and which not. Also, leave the available badge on at all times, because when clients actually invite freelancers to the job proposals that they create, there's a very simple button where you can actually just check and only show freelancers that are available now. So if you have that badge, you're more likely to show up and get more invites. So always leave that on. If you've been on Upwork, you've probably seen that there is actually quite a lot of jobs being posted every single hour of the day. But it's a mistake to actually spend your valuable time and effort going through all of them. Let Upwork do the job for you. There's a whole filtering system on Upwork where you can set custom filters and only view proposals that match your exact filters. You have to do this. When I did this, I was only applying to the jobs that matched all of my criteria. And I was spending way less time reading through long proposals just to eventually find out that this job is not suited for me. So I just wasted my 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes, they do stack up over weeks and months. And be quite aggressive with filters. The more aggressive you are, the more jobs are filtered out, meaning that only the jobs that are the best for you are actually left. Maybe you will be applying to less jobs, but at least they're gonna be targeted. Your proposals are gonna be custom. So basically the quality of you being the exact match of what the client is looking for is way higher. A lot of people neglect their portfolios and case studies on Upwork. Upwork actually provides a case study area where we can fill in a lot of details, a lot of screenshots, and basically showcase what you can do for the client. However, when I was looking for a lot of freelancers, I've seen those areas just very neglected and only having just a few different things, and it wasn't very enticing. But the case study section, especially if you're an editor, graphic designer, or anything visual, that's even more relevant for you because it's even more visible to the client when they get a proposal from you. So don't just throw in random pieces of work into your case studies and portfolio. Make it very custom and put some thought and effort into it so that only the best work is shown first, and then that it shows the variety of things that you can do. Once a client told me that my cover letter was very easy to read because it was very skimmable. I mean, it was a very in-depth cover letter because there were a lot of questions and everything, but the client enjoyed that it was very easy to go through. So if you imagine just two different cover letters, one with just a block of text without any spaces and anything like that, and another one where you bold things, you basically make spaces between paragraphs and sentences, that one is going to be way easier for a client to digest. And if you save clients time, they will appreciate that. And always make sure to bold words in your Upwork cover letter. Although Upwork doesn't have that functionality in its editor, you can copy paste from other areas to make your letters bold. And again, you're gonna stand out very well with just bolding your words. When starting out, I felt very invisible on Upwork, and I call this the dead zone. You have no jobs, you have no reviews, no testimonials, and maybe your portfolio is not that even full. It's very brutal when you're applying with such an empty profile. However, I found out that the best way to get out of this is to get some small gigs, which are jobs that are very short and easy to do, but they will provide you with the feedback from the client as best as possible you want to get, and you will actually get a star rating and your profile wouldn't look so empty. After I got the first few smaller jobs from Upwork, it allowed me to push my profile further, and it allowed me to actually look for more long-term clients and jobs. So to boost your profile out of the dead zone, just try to find some small gigs, do them quickly, make them as best as possible. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, as long as you have those 2 to 3 reviews on your Upwork profile, you're already out of the newbie zone. When I heard this from quite a few clients that they really appreciated how fast I got back to them, either during the interview process or while we worked with the clients. That is when I realized that the speed actually matters on Upwork. The sooner you respond, the more engaged you look, the more professional you seem, and people are just more willing to work with you. So always download Upwork app on your phone, keep the notifications on, check your emails, don't miss out on any messages, and it doesn't take a lot of time to just get back to people with a few short sentences. Don't let those opportunities slip away because you failed to reply in the first an hour or something like that. A lot of clients are very busy people on Upwork, and they have a lot of other things that they do. So whenever you message someone and you don't hear back from them, always follow up. Even if it's a potential client and you haven't responded, give them 24 hours. If they don't get back to you, just send them, hey, I just want to follow up on my last message. And you won't believe me how many jobs and actually how many people hired me just because I followed up. However, don't overdo it. So my suggestion is 2 follow-ups maximum. So let's say they don't get back to you in like 24 hours, you can follow up with them, and then probably you can give them maybe like 48 hours or like 2 days or something like that, and you can send a second follow-up. If you don't hear back from them then I will probably leave it as it is. Because what you don't want is to bother someone just with constant messages. And believe me, I've seen some freelancers that I haven't hired or just texted a little bit, but I decided to go with another freelancer. But then every couple of weeks they got back to me and just asked for work. And it is annoying when somebody is just constantly messaging you. So what you do is you block them. So don't overdo with the follow-ups. A couple of follow-ups I think are reasonable. I once made a mistake when I hired somebody who could not really form a proper message, and it was very no punctuation, no paragraphs, just a block of text. It wasn't a very pleasant conversation, and that's a mistake on me, and it was very painful, but I learned my lesson. So when you're communicating with the client, always have clear communication, always format your messages, bold things, use bullet point or numbered lists. Just make it seem professional and make it easier for clients to read. Because what I don't want is people skipping the questions that I have, answering in some random order, or just making a lot of confusion out of the conversation. If you are the person who is easy to work with, clients are way more willing to go and actually hire you. I once closed $10,000 project on Upwork just because I suggested to set up a meeting. Again, a lot of freelancers for some reason don't suggest this and they just want to keep chatting on Upwork, but Clients want to know if they're working with the real person. So setting up a quick 30-minute discussion about the project and always offering that, again, shows that you're engaged, shows initiative, and shows that you're not afraid to just talk with them one-on-one. And Upwork has a great scheduling calendar feature which you can use to basically select your availability and send this out to clients, to potential clients, to set up meetings via Upwork. One of my longest clients that I still work to this day, 6 years later, started as a one-off $100 gig. But by delivering great results, building connections with that client, eventually I earned over $200,000 from just one client. So building relationships and also looking for those long-term opportunities is the key for some steady income as a freelancer. So always invest in connections and relationships with your client, because you never know when some $100 gig can turn into a relationship that lasts for decades. In the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes when doing everything on Upwork. It seems like I made every possible mistake on Upwork. And one of those was I was applying to jobs that were actually already filled or were like 3, 4, 5 days old. Clients on Upwork usually don't really look at the proposals after a couple of days already. Usually the ones that they message or they saw in the first day or two and they shortlisted are the ones that they keep the conversation going regardless of how many more people apply. So when looking at the job posts, I don't suggest applying to jobs that are older than 36 hours. Usually, in the first 24 hours, I think it's the golden zone where you should definitely apply. And then after 24 hours, I think it's still some opportunity left, because depending on the time of day and the week of the day, also, some clients don't really check the proposals and only check them like 2 or 3 days after. But I would be more cautious and just try to apply to job listings that are not older than 36 hours. Applying to jobs on Upwork can be stressful. And what allowed me to make this process very seamless is building a very specific routine. So I only apply to Upwork twice per day, like clockwork. I don't need to stare at the job board or just be active on Upwork like 12 hours per day. It's more stressful than it is useful. Having a consistent routine and a consistent pipeline of the way you do things, and basically kind of building system out of applying to Upwork jobs, allows you to stress less and just make sure that you're always doing what needs to be done. And then it's all about just getting those messages and those invites. So you don't need to stare and reload Upwork every 5 minutes. So set specific times that you apply for jobs and then close your browser. You don't need to be on Upwork if you're not applying. Client once told me that everybody in the job proposals suggested to write some blog articles for their blog. And I was the only one that actually suggested on improving their organic traffic, which is essentially what they were seeking for. And it always makes sense. Results always speak louder than skills. So whenever you're crafting your proposal, your cover letter, your portfolio, whatever you do, whenever you talk to the client, always make sure you talk about the results. Of course, you have to try to figure out what that person wants. Sometimes it's very obvious from the job description. Sometimes it's not that obvious. So basically you need to ask questions to find out what the client actually needs so that you can basically showcase what results you can achieve for them. Another thing that freelancers don't really do is ask any questions in their cover letter. This is again a great way to show that first, you actually read their job description and you have questions about their business, and it shows engagement and it shows that you actually go a step further and you need to know something. It makes you look way more professional, and you don't need to ask some very, very strange questions. Just by asking what is the timeline, what is the biggest challenge that you're facing, just trying to understand what clients need and basically asking those questions will make you stand out. So I applied to over 1,000 jobs on Upwork and only got 24 jobs after applying to 1,000. That's lower than 2.5% conversion rate, and it probably sounds brutal. However, you have to remember each one of those jobs was worth thousands of dollars to me. On Upwork, I was always mainly focused in long-term relationships, big and complex projects. I didn't want to do like 1,000 different projects worth $100 each. I wanted to do like 20 different jobs that were worth like $10,000 each. So always focus on the long-term project. This is the essential part of freelancing. This is what's gonna give you stability and confidence in what you do. But you have to remember, rejection is part of the game, and if you focus on those kind of jobs, you're gonna get a lot of rejections. But the more you apply, the better chances that you're gonna land a job that will last for at least a couple of years. So stay consistent. So I specialize in SEOs, which is search engine optimization. And usually on Upwork, people that are looking for SEO, they actually write that they want SEO, like in their job descriptions and their titles and everything like that. However, the problem becomes that freelancers, when they apply to jobs, they also say that, hey, I can do SEO for you. But clients already know that they need SEO. That's why the job description was created in the first place. So you're just basically rephrasing the same thing that the client knows already. What you need to do is talk about deliverables, what you can actually do, break it down. What is SEO? What kind of things, tasks, and stuff you're gonna actually do for the client. First of all, this will show that you actually know what you're doing instead of just saying, I'll do SEO for your site. And second of all, it breaks down the way you work, the way you think. Clients really appreciate that. However, when writing and crafting cover letter, messages, or anything that you do on Upwork, don't try to write essays and over-explain things. Sometimes too much is a bit too much, and clients, again, they don't want to read educational content about what is SEO, what is graphic design, what is development. They are there because they're looking for specific results, so you do need to explain them a little bit, but don't try to over-explain things. You know, clients are busy people. They just need to know that you can do the job. So you have to say what you can do and what your deliverables are in the least words possible. Unfortunately, the reality is that a lot of clients on Upwork do really want things a lot cheaper. Not all of them, but there definitely are a subset of clients that come there to find the cheapest thing. And that's okay. We all have our preferences, but what you must do is know your worth. So if you have a specific hourly or fixed price and the client is trying to negotiate and they're really cutting like your prices in half or something like that, don't give in. I always reply that if they want something cheaper, they can always go and look for other freelancers. Just be confident and stay put. And you'll be surprised how many clients actually return back to you after you just said that if you want somebody cheaper, just go look for somebody else. Eventually they do return to you because they actually want to work with you. They just try to get a cheaper rate out of you. So just stand by, and believe me, it will work out in the end. And I mean, if they don't hire you, that's probably even better because that client is gonna be a bigger headache than it is worth it for you. In the beginning, I used to skip a discussion about deadlines or when things need to be done, as I didn't really get that from clients and I didn't really offer any deadlines from my side. So we just kind of started working and that's it. But that's a very big mistake on my part, because if you don't agree on deadlines, then the client and you may have different expectations. And I had plenty of times in the beginning where just frustration is building. There's a lot of messaging going back and forth. Clients are asking when this is done. Then you are saying that, oh, I need a couple of more days, but they expect it to be done by Monday for some reason. It's just a lot of confusion and a lot of unnecessary stress because of it. So from that day forward, I always discuss deadlines with the clients and I always try to approve them before I start work so that we are all on the same page. And talking about deadlines, always have a buffer zone and always try to extend the deadline beyond of what you actually need to complete that project. So there are two benefits for this. First, it gives you a buffer zone in case something happens with you and your time or something like that, and it basically makes sure that you're never late to deliver on what you promised. But the second is even a better thing, because if you always deliver before the deadline, that also shows to the client that you are very proactive and you can do things way faster than you said you would. And it's a very small thing, but some clients actually notice this. and they take into account people who do things and just are more proactive in that way. I once promised a client to finish something in 3 days instead of 5 days because I knew it's gonna take a lot of time, but I really needed that project and I really wanted to work with that client. So I basically said, hey, I can do it in 3 days. And I mean, those were brutal days. I barely slept. It was very tough. I eventually delivered just after the deadline, but I was feeling like trash. So I learned my lesson and I stopped over promising for things that I know I cannot do. It's gonna make your life easier. It's gonna make clients' life easier because you're all aligned on when and what needs to be done. When working on platforms like Upwork, you're bound to have some bad experiences with some clients, and they probably will leave you a bad review, but you have to stay professional. I also had plenty of times where a client was disappointed in one or the other thing, or there was a miscommunication about things, and it left me with a bad review on Upwork. However, instead of reacting emotionally, I just stayed calm and tried to address a lot of things via messages with the client and basically tried to figure out the way we can basically go past this. And to be honest, a lot of times you can actually resolve those things and a lot of those reviews can be removed. And I even got apologies from the client because they had some stress at their projects, at their work, and they basically it wasn't just to take out on me, but they needed to vent somehow. So I heard this from quite a few clients and experienced this myself as well, that people, and just generally, people can really feel if you're excited about something. And enthusiasm is a very contagious thing. So if you see a job proposal that you're actually truly very excited, show that in a video, in the cover letter, in the messages, through the one-on-one Zoom call, whatever you do. If you're excited about a project, about a niche, about the thing that you want to work on, really try to showcase that. People are always more willing to hire people that they see that they're passionate about a certain project or website or whatever the job is. But don't just pretend that you're excited. I mean, people can really see through that as well. So just genuinely, when you're excited about a project, about something, just showcase that to the client, and believe me, you'll be rewarded. Upwork is always a changing platform, so you have to understand the trends that are happening and don't let them get away. For example, when Upwork introduced boosted proposals, I was kind of hesitant to try it out and didn't really jump on it. But then eventually I gave in and saw that I'm actually landing way more jobs and way more interviews than I used to before the boosted proposals. And this goes the same with the features like highlighted projects and then the video that you can attach now to Upwork. So whenever something new goes to Upwork, probably not a lot of people are still using it. So if you jump first, you can actually land a lot of good jobs on Upwork just by being the first one to use their new feature. Unfortunate reality for freelancers is that work can always dry up. And I have plenty of times where suddenly all of the projects that you're working on suddenly are stopped or canceled, and then you're left with nothing. So mistake here is that you stop applying for work when you have work. I actually make it a rule to always keep applying on Upwork because finding new clients on Upwork takes time. So you want to make sure that, if you got a project right now, but let's say it ends in the next 2 months, that by the time it ends, you have another project lined up. So as clients come and go, you need to keep a steady application routine in place so that you always have at least some of new clients lined up as soon as you finish your other projects. One of the best things that I did early on was to study other expert profiles on Upwork. So what I did is I went in and just searched for freelancers in my niche and then tried to apply various filters to find out who is basically at the top, who is getting the most jobs, who's getting the most revenue on Upwork. They have to be doing something right. And when I did that and then compared my profile to theirs, I actually found a lot of differences that I talk in this video about the profile photo, about the headline, about the way that you write your summary, about the way that you structure a portfolio. I learned so much from the profiles that are on Upwork, then I'm very glad that I did it. So go to Upwork, search your niche, your keywords, try variations, and try to find freelancers that are really making a killing on Upwork and study their profiles, see what they're doing, and see what you can basically replicate or even improve. I once took a project that I knew is kind of bound to fail, but I took it anyway. This is probably one of the most difficult things for you to learn, but you have to learn how to say no. Because what happened is that project turned into a nightmare. It was very difficult for me. The client was very unhappy, and overall, nobody's really winning in this situation. So if you have a feeling that the job is sketchy or it is mismatched with your skills or your ability, learn to say no and actually politely decline, even if you've gone through all of the interview stages. Save your energy and time for other clients. Another really easy trick to how you can get more projects is to follow up on the clients or projects that you already finished working with. You never know what is happening with clients or if they need something or not, but if you ended on a good terms, you ended the contract, but you still have the messaging ability on Upwork, you can easily just message them after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I mean, there were even cases where I followed up with clients after a year that I worked with them, and they actually got back to me and they said, hey, yeah, there is a project that I need help with. So staying in touch with your previous clients always keeps the door open for more work. And that is why it's always important to end any type of project they're doing on good terms. So now there is a very good feature on Upwork where clients can actually leave feedback throughout the project. And there are many, many benefits for this. First, it always shows that your initiative, that you want to make sure that the project is going well, everything is going smoothly, and that you actually care what the client thinks about this. Just ask, hey, is everything going according to your expectations? And if client says something, you can always improve on that. They will be very happy that you did. And the second thing is that you can actually get a lot more feedback sooner, especially if the project is a long-term project. Many freelancers before this feature had a lot of projects in progress but without any feedback. But if the project is going well and you're working long-term with that client, you kind of want to showcase that to other potential clients instead of just having in progress work on Upwork. Okay, so this will sound interesting, but don't only focus on Upwork. I used to focus only on Upwork projects, but I have definitely had months where I had no work and no way to getting clients, and proposals and interviews do really take time. If Upwork would have been my only source of having clients, I would have been very stuck. So even if Upwork is working great for you, always diversify and build something on the side, a personal brand and a way of getting clients outside of Upwork. Eventually, this is the route you probably want to take, so just start building that as soon as you start working on Upwork. A lot of clients actually found me through other means, but then contacted me through Upwork. I have a newsletter, I have a personal website, I have a LinkedIn profile, so I also used to be more active on Twitter, and I basically tried to build kind of a mini personal brand outside of Upwork, and I got a lot of inquiries on Upwork, but then clients told me that they actually found my work outside of Upwork. So building a personal brand outside Upwork can also lead to more clients on your Upwork profile, so don't neglect that. And personal brand is a very, very powerful tool, which you'll want to eventually realize and use way more often once it's built. So your Upwork is part of your personal brand, but it's not the whole story. So whatever you do on Upwork, don't rely just on one platform, also build something on the side. So if you watched this far, you obviously are interested in freelancing, and I'll have a link in the description below where you can learn more about how to become a better freelancer yourself. But for now, for some reason, YouTube thinks you want to watch this video. Take care.